afternoon, and welcome to our Midweek Vibes show this week. This week, we're going to talk about innovation. You must have seen that on our posters, but I'm sure you're wondering, who is this? You have never seen her on Midweek Vibes before. Let me introduce myself. My name is Reverend Lorraine. I am here together with my colleague and friend.
Yes, my name is Charity Wamboy. I'm one of the pastors here at Mamlaka Hill Chapel, Rwaka.
Yeah, Charity and I like to call her Bobo. Bobo and I today are sitting in for Reverend Maggie, who you know is the actual host for this show. We are filling in big shoes today. We're sitting in for her, and we have a powerhouse.
Definitely,
There is a lady here with us today. She has done everything there is to do on this planet. She is ready to do everything there is to be done in this, a serious lady. And I want her to introduce herself to us first, and then I will tell you, as the show goes on, you will see why we are talking about a powerhouse in the house today. Welcome.
Thank you so very much. I'm really honored to be here with you guys. Yes, my name is Margaret Wangari Munger, and I would call myself an innovative business lady. Yeah, that's what I would call myself.
What a name.
What a name.
Introduction.
And what an introduction. An innovative business lady.
Yes.
This lady is doing businesses upon businesses. At the moment, we can count at least four things.
Imagine.
Four things she's currently on top of, things that she is doing. Tell us, Maggie, because at some point you will tell us that I'm not sure I want to preempt the kind of businesses that she's doing, because I want her to tell us about it in detail later. But what I want to know from you at this point is, what did you dream of as a young girl? What is it you wanted out of life? Did you want to be this? Did you have dreams? What were you exposed to, and what did you want out of life as a little girl?
All right, as a little girl, I'm excited because of my background. My parents were powerhouses. So I think that's where now you guys got that name. I wanted to be a singer. I just loved, I don't know, this live on the stage, like especially live music. I wanted to do that. And also, we had a library in the house, and at our school, we also had a library. So I was exposed to a lot of books, and they say that if you read, you can go anywhere. And one of the books I came across was the Think Big by Ben Carson. I think everybody has read that book. So from there, I was like, I'm going to be a neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a neurosurgeon. I also wanted to be a pilot. God, I just wanted to be very effective. And another thing, I wanted to host 100 orphans in my house. So I wanted to have a mansion when I grow up. So that's the small girl dream, to be just amazing in those sectors.
So from when you were a little girl, you still wanted everything.
Yes.
There's so many titles. I mean, a pilot, a
right?
neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
And also benevolent, to host many people,
Imagine.
many children
Very.
in her home.
What
Yes.
a heart.
Yeah.
What a heart.
Thank you.
And what a mind.
Now
Yes.
tell me, Margaret, you actually went to school somewhere here in Thika.
Yes, I did.
Our very own Nairobi, Kenya.
Yes.
A lady, a Kikuyu girl from Kahuya Girls.
Yes.
From Murang'a County.
Yes.
How did you land? Let me first position myself well and say at MIT. You guys know what MIT is?
Oh.
MIT is an engineering school in the US. How did you land in MIT?
All right. So, there's this one thing. I found my dad traveling around the world, and when I was a little girl, because they had a business, they had this transport matatu, they faced me with a
Yeah, I
chima,
remember them,
and
yeah.
then people would go and park themselves backwards. So
Yeah.
And also we had a Nissan. So my parents have exposed me to businesses. They had restaurant, 10 acres, cabbages, milk, hardware, sijui house, these one to rent out, sijui this. So for me, I've been raised with balance this hesabu, balance this
Yeah.
money, this business is doing this. So I did that. I was exposed to that. And I remember one of the things was I need to travel more than my dad. So he's been my inspiration. And my mom too, being a business person, she's been working. She was an employee who was business minded, because she worked at KCB, but she had lots of businesses outside. So I'm like, oh, you can be multifaceted. You know how people usually tell you need to concentrate on one thing. Okay, there's that. And actually,
can't be a jack
I
of
had
all
an
trades,
identity
yeah.
crisis with that, because I'm like, but I love singing, but I love
It's a
farming,
DNA
but I
thing.
love
Yeah.
this all that. Then I think two people came out. So there's King David in the Bible. He was
Yeah.
multifaceted. Ahab, an instrumentalist, singer, president, dancer. business person, warrior, commander. You know, like his list was
And the
like that.
child
And
of
then
God.
yeah, and the child of God. And then now there's the Michelangelo. He was a painter. He was a physician. He was a doctor. He was a mathematician. I mean, I'm like, this guy was full of it. So I'm like, oh, so society tries to kind of bloat you up. So how I ended up. So I did so well. There's a time my dad came and visited us, my brother and I. He's like, which school do you want to go to? Do you want to go? So for me, I used to have a Oxford tables. That set, that the mathematical set,
Yeah.
Oxford. I was like, I want to go to Oxford.
Oh.
And he has my brother, I don't know something. So he comes and gives us passports. He's like, this is your passport, this is your passport. I think we were in, I don't know, class 7. I was in class 7. I'm like, I'm going to Oxford. But I was like, they're a little bit racist over there. America is a little bit whatever. So anyway, I go to high school and my dad goes to do his studies in the US, his master's. He gets bored, he misses us, he's like, comes home, he's like, you guys are packing, you're coming with me. And then we go, and it's like we land on Sunday, and Monday we're supposed to be in school.
Wow.
I'm like, jet lag, everything.
Yeah.
Like he too. So that's how I ended up finishing my high school in the US, and how I ended up like following my dreams. Because when I was in high school, there's a friend of my dad who used to have planes. There was a couple. They had planes. So after high school, they'll come pick us up from school. My brother and I, when we go fly around South Bend area, it's a small airport. So he will give us this plane and we land it. I'm really bad at landing airplanes, but I'm really good at taking off.
Wait.
First, you were already a pilot.
Not really.
That's
Wait.
what I think.
So you're actually flying?
Yes, I flew. I don't want to be a commercial pilot. I want mine to be a cargo one. I'm like, nipeleke mzigo. Wapi, nipeleke kutoka China, just bring it. And I like that. That is so easy. I'm like, yeah, I don't have to worry about anything. In case I go landing kwa maji, niko peke yangu. But I'm not saying that I cannot, but that's one thing. And that's kind of how I've also put that in my kids. I'm like, you can be anything you want. So just absolutely anything. So you're asking about MIT, right?
And what did you study?
So I really did well. I had a 3.98 GPO.
Wow. That's a big deal.
Yes, it's a
I'm
big
not sure
deal.
Kenyans understand.
Yeah, I know.
What
How
that
big of a deal
means
that
is
is.
that kutoka nikwe form 1 hadi form 4, I had an A.
What?
That's what it means.
What?
Yes, like in all senses, like I thank God.
Smart one.
A smart one, yeah. Thank God. My parents were A students, and thankfully I got that too.
Again, DNA.
Again.
You're
Oh,
gonna
not
give that to your
DNA. No, let's not take DNA. Because when I was in primary school, I used to be that fifth, the number
Third
that
from last.
that floor. We used to be 35 kids, and I could get to number 30. I was a poor one, so I did a mental shift when I got to high school. Like, I had a meeting
Wow.
with myself, and I'm like, Maggie, nobody knows you here. They don't know that you used to be double last.
Yeah.
So I had a
here you
meeting.
can- yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? You
Yeah.
can create anybody you want. Right now, create your smart girl. And that's what exactly I did.
Look at that.
Look
This
at
is a
that
13
kind
year
of
old.
attitude. Imagine.
Yeah. So that's what I did. I created this. I'm like, what would you like people to know? They don't know you. They don't know you. What do you want people to see you as? I'm like,
What a
I want them.
mindset.
I want them to come to me for help for any subject. I want them to see that I'm smart, and I want to just make it. I want to like be an obedient student. And I think if you can call any Kahoyans and ask them about me, they will remember. She's the most, I mean, like this rule that was written: do not share your spoon. I swear I did not share my spoon. And then, like from 3s and 4s, are like, watakuja kwa monos, like, hey, help me with the spoon. So I was very disciplined. If you're supposed to be in class at this time, I just did a good girl. And I'm like, so you can be anything. I can craft myself into anything.
Yeah.
So I got that 3.98. I was called to Embry-Rideau. It's an aeronautical engineering school. I was to go make engines of plane. And also
Given
there's
up on think big at this point.
yes, and also there's the John Hopkins. I remember finishing. I went to Maryland. It's in Maryland, so I go to the gate of John Hopkins. I'm like, this is where Ben Carson is, and I'm like, I'm getting inside that place, and I'm like, whatever. But when I went there, the school fees was a little bit pricey, so I ended up going to Southwestern Michigan University, and I took my pre-med over there. So I'm there, continuing again with my A's.
Hold up.
Aba-
Medicine
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
yes.
and MIT.
And MIT.
2 universities
Is
at the same
this-
time.
Yeah.
No, not at the same
no,
time.
not at the same time. She said she goes there to do her pre-med.
I goes there to
wow.
go to my pre-med.
So
and-
she's pursuing after being a neurosurgeon.
Yeah,
Wow.
this is me, neurosurgeon. And everybody, like, I remember them doing me a takeaway, but like, oh, she's going to be the doctor, like, they're like, oh, we have a
Yeah.
neurosurgeon in the house, so, because, like, my parents, especially my dad, like, they've really pushed me to think outside. Like, my dad would get sick somewhere and, like, go find out what it is. So I had to know anatomically what that thing was, what it's, the explanation of it, scientifically, secretary. And then Akina Hosi, he's there, yeah, by the way, that's what it is.
Or
And
like
I'm
if your dad is sick, then he would have you look
yeah,
at
look
what
into it before he goes, so that now, and then he
Research.
makes me go with him to the hospital
So that you
I
can
can hear the
confirm.
doctors, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I did my research. So you make us do research, and you're in high school and you're doing all of this.
Oh,
Anyway, there's
wow.
there's that pushing, and my brother and I, we are really pushers. We know how to work hard. So I go, I do, I happen, like how US people think it's an easy life, but I used to do 2 jobs and full-time student, and also
a
get my
full-time
A's.
med student.
Yes,
And
full
going to-
time,
imagine.
full time. And I remember there was this one semester I had some financial issues. I was not able to pay completely. Like I did like half and everything. So we were doing the exam, and I sat in the exam, but had not paid. So, and I got the results. I got all A's again. I thank God I got all A's. But the student dean, I don't know, Akambio, she hasn't finished. So put it as a fail in her exam paper. And I have an A, but when you go check out my student login at the back office, it says it's an F. And that's really bad. Like, that's horrible. It stays in your record.
Yeah.
You can't do nothing. You can go to med school like with an F. Like I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like, because they will be like, okay, what happened?
Yes.
Did you get into drugs? What You know,
Yeah.
like you have to have
Yes.
this story.
An
You have to
explanation,
explain.
yes.
And mine was just school fees. I think there was. I even up to today, I think it's a spiritual attack. I want to. That's how my brain could handle it. There's no other way my brain could go around it. But after the exam, I finished my school fees and I paid off the school fee. But they did not change. They did not take out the
Yeah.
F. They did not. So I got pissed off. I really, honestly got pissed off. And I kind of came to see a school is a business. It's just dollar sign on my face. You sign up here, we're here for your career. But no, you're here for my money. You don't really, because I'm like, I finished it. Why would you put it an F still?
Yeah.
So I got really pissed off. I took a break. And then also there's this pharmaceutical thing as a doctor in the US you have to sign. There's some non-disclosure stuff. Because it's all
really?
about pushing medicine.
Even in
Really?
school.
Yeah.
No, I'm surprised at the fact that you have to sign on
Yeah,
it.
you have to
Non-disclosure,
sign.
imagine.
Yeah, you have to sign. So it's like whatever happens, you just pop them medicine. So it's a pharmaceutical business in the US.
Wow.
It's just medicine business. So I'm like, wait a minute. I want people to come in my office, and I'm telling them, you need to increase your vegetable intake or your fruit intake, or you need to stop on this sad diet. This is like the fried foods and everything, cholesterol, injecting, or just lifestyle. So I'm like, okay, fine. You've told me I have an F, and I can now do this. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'm gonna be a better doctor. I'm gonna do as Socrates did. Let your medicine be food, and your food be medicine. So I ended up signing
like
up
that.
for
Wow, I
like
like
that,
it
yeah.
too.
yeah. So I ended up signing up for integrative nutrition. It's based in New York as a nutritional health coach. Organic, like now going all raw diet, all organic, all healthy. Like you get to know everything, and it's because it's scientific. Because now you have to know the macronutrients,
Yes.
micro everything, all that
Yeah.
stuff. I did that.
So you went to studying it again.
Yeah. So now
So you're studying all through. You've learned how to fly a plane. Now you've done pre-med.
no, plane was a hobby.
But you
was
learnt
just a-
it?
Yes, yes.
You still went to class for it?
Yeah, I did not. I just got in like driving a car.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
it's it just
like
like
it.
I also do.
yes.
Right. Okay. So you have done that. You have gone to pre-med.
Yes.
At least you've done that here and you have passed. So there's knowledge you
Yes.
have,
Yeah, I have
background
that.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Now you're here in New York studying for.
Yeah, the integrative
Yeah.
How old are you at this point?
you?
This is a good question. How-
20. How old was I? I think 21.
Wow.
I think 21. I was.
No.
Yeah.
No. You must have been.
I know.
35 by now.
No.
You
no,
know?
I'm not even yet 35, but yeah.
Right. So,
So-
you are 21 and
Yeah.
you're already you have a mind to be Socrates
Yes.
and you have gone ahead to do something about it.
Yes.
So you're in New York by
I don't
yourself.
want to pop that medicine. I don't want to sign that. And so now I'm in nutrition. I ended up registering my business. It's called Beauty Inspired by Health. Now, like there's this thing, even when we were doing it, we were like, oh, you need to come up with a niche. You need to come with an avatar for
Yes,
the customer.
yeah.
You need to know what their needs are, what their pains are, what their everything. So I'm like, okay, fine. I think I'm going to work with women. It's going to be easy because I'm already a woman.
Yeah.
It's easy. So that's why even actually I call it Beauty Inspired by Health. So we go, I open the business, I get myself an office space. I think it was in Phoenix or something. Yeah. Then I'm like, I need people to know it exists.
Yeah.
I'm like, duh. You know, like
Yeah.
you need people to come to your business.
Yeah,
So I go out, I'm like, whoa, I really need to know exactly how do people kind of choose to buy a product over something else. So there's something that happens. There's something behind the scene that makes Coca-Cola, Apple, all that
Yeah.
stuff. And I go and I'm like, oh my God, IT, they're offering this marketing thing. And I'm like, yay, what's the best people to do that? And they kind of know what they're doing. I like the lecturers and everything. And we had to do something. We had to do a product buyer. Like you had to create something and make it be marketed as you're learning the course. So it was like
Wow.
hands-on skills.
Completely, yes.
Yes. So yeah, it's just so that's how I ended up here. I
So
think
this
that's
is-
what you were
this is
asking.
the
How
part-
I ended up being there.
and what a whole story to
I
to
know.
answer this simple question.
Such a wholesome
You didn't
one.
just- yeah, a wholesome one.
Yeah.
Yes, a wholesome
So-
one. So you're here in MIT. You're pursuing marketing. You want to learn
Yeah.
about how to market your product.
Yes.
For a business, you already have
Yes.
21-year-old.
No, 21, 22.
21,
yeah, they're all called,
22,
yes.
somewhere
Yes,
there.
yes,
Younger than 25. Your
Yes.
brain is not
Yeah,
even
I
fully developed.
know.
So your brain is towards
Still
so-
developing.
right. So tell us, Maggie,
Mm-hmm.
how are you here? I mean, you are in MIT. You're doing marketing. You have a business that's doing well, but you're here
I'm
in
here
Kenya,
in
in
Kenya.
Nairobi,
Yeah.
talking to us today. How are you here today?
Oh, that's another story, but it's okay. So now I know how to market, and I came to find out that everything in life, even relationship, you're marketing yourself. Like for me to be even here, I must have done something to be here, marketing. Even for me to have my best friend for the last 19 years, it was just through marketing. Like we forget that that's what happens. You're always a brand and you're carrying yourself. So it now.
Are you saying even relationships are marketing?
Yes, it's
Gimmicks?
Really, yeah.
And you're
okay. Well, in a
showing how
good
this
way.
product is
Eh,
better
I
than
know
this
that
product.
the other product.
Exactly. But now there's something, there's a principle, and there are people who know how to use manipulation and manipulation. And when you use manipulation, it doesn't work. It always
Doesn't
backfires
last
on you.
long, yeah.
Always. So you better do it with the right intention. For me, I'm more of a long-term person because that's where you practice the virtue of loyalty. It takes you and pushes you forward, no matter what. Like you're here and everything. So you as a person, you're a whole company, whether you know it or not. Your whole
That's
company.
big.
So wherever you go, you're marketing your company. So the way if you walk slouching, you're like, man, I don't want to invest in that. I wouldn't buy shares to that.
Wow,
I'm
my
like,
God.
if you do
I have
something,
never thought like that.
yes, so sure. So we ended up doing real estate. And I remember, I think I was 24 when we got our first house to do renting.
Wait, at this point, are you moving away from your health coaching business, or is
What?
this is on top
Copy
of?
your parents. They
Uh-huh.
have a hardware, they have a restaurant.
Yeah,
They
they have a
farm,
matatu business.
They have a
they
matatu
have milk
business.
Have a
business.
myriad of businesses.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
sure. So it doesn't.
So you
it's-
decide the health coaching business is
it's-
one.
it's
Now I
one.
want to add real estate on top of
Oh,
that.
real estate. Yeah, we yeah. And then the good thing about it, my mom was really good at giving us street smart education. There's the university one, but my mom was like, you need to know what's on the street.
Yeah.
So I remember the first one was like in Chicago with T. Harv Eker. I don't know whether you guys have read any of his books, The Secret of a Millionaire Mind. He's really done something. So we go there and it's like, whoa. So you go live, you go check it out. And then around that time, Robert Kiyosaki and Donald Trump had partnered together to do a real estate conference and everything. So guess who is there? Yeah,
Maggie.
my mom, my ex-husband, and
Lisa.
I. So we go and you're like, man, this real estate. It's really amazing. I know Kenyans love the real estate. There's like,
Oh my God.
there's like 20 things. There's like 20 things you can do in real estate.
Yeah.
Oh,
From
it's
rent-
not just buying land
No.
and maybe putting up
Making profits.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's the flipping. There's RTFIs. Okay. So and then also there's brokerage. There's building, developing. There's duplex. There's complexes. There's a way you buy like a complex. There's so much. There's also bankruptcy, foreclosures. There's a way you can earn money from foreclosures only. Like they're foreclosed.
Wow.
And then your niche is just foreclosed. Oh, unaenda kutafuta manyumba zenye ziko foreclosed, you know. And then there's a way you get money.
Yeah, from that.
Kenyans
There's
would want to
so
know
many.
more
I
about
know.
that.
Yes, I know. There's so much. You know, as we think of land and then just rental. When you say real estate, it's like either commercial rental or residential rental. But there's so much more. Like, God, it's a lot.
So, which one did you pick?
I was thinking of flipping until.
Until.
Ta-la-la-la. So there's this information that I came across. It's called Banker's Code. And that kind of did a paradigm shift on me. I'm like,
What's that about?
so what happens is now you become a banker, just like any other bank. I actually just remembered I walked in the lobby of JP Morgan Chase Bank in the US, and I was seated. You know, it's posh. Okay, I&M is kind of almost close, but not really. But it's really, you know, like a posh bank.
Close to that.
And then this guy, tall, I cannot say tall, dark, and handsome because he was white, Caucasian. So he's Caucasian, blue eyes, blonde hair, beautiful navy blue suits, tuck, shoe, amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm seated and I'm like, I want to own a bank. He looks at me, he's like, did you say you want to open an account? No, I want to own a bank. So I'm like I'm putting at the structure.
Yeah.
And he looks at me, he steps back and he laughs sarcastically. I'm like, you want to own a bank? Do you know how much money you need to? I'm like, I want to know what that capital is. You know, just tell me, you know. But there's this interest. I don't know why. Whether it's because my mom used to work at the KCB for 14 years before we moved back to the US. I don't know. There's something to do with the bank. Because even when we got out of school from Shule Moyo Academy in Thika, we'd go at the lobby. We could access the back office and everything because we were kids.
So
And there's this cube that had money like stacked like this, and my mom is locked in there. It's a glass. Like you can see all that money. You're like, what goes on in here? You know, like
So bankers and money.
bankers and money, you know. So for me,
Same WhatsApp.
I think why, I think why I was attuned, because sometimes you know what you're exposed to makes you notice something. If you're not exposed to seeing a jaguar, you'll not notice it in the road.
Oh God, you know that's right.
Yeah.
It's
Have you found yourself interested in something and then suddenly that's all you see on the road?
Exactly.
Yes,
It's true.
exactly.
Very
And
true.
that's how the brain works, because there's a billions of information coming to you right now, but it only see what
Sifts
you
out what you are
have.
interested
And that's
in.
why I tell people, read, expose yourself, travel, be open-minded,
Travel.
be like a child.
Pastor Charity.
Travel.
Yeah.
We should travel this year.
Be
No,
like
next year.
yes, be like it's December,
Yes,
it's November
December,
still.
yeah.
Travel.
Why not?
Be like a child. Be that information.
Curious,
Like for
have a-
me,
yeah.
before I got my kids, I went and read how stuff works. I know how a phone works. I know why I will put a phone number and it goes to your number. I know why. I know the frequencies and bouncing off of towers. So that when they ask me why is the color blue, I'll be like, it absorbs all the colors and just reflects blue. So I know that. You know how kids kind of
God, and this, you're preparing. You're getting this information because you want to teach it to your kids when
because
they ask you.
questions.
They have,
Kids
yeah,
ask
they
questions.
do.
And I was like, I need to be prepared. You know, like
to do
parents
better.
should be thinking
How
about
many
this.
books have you read?
A lot. Like like there's this one book a week, so 52 in a year, and mostly they're nonfiction. I just like kind of handle one fiction book. I'll get a novel and just make my brain go, you know, just like
Yeah,
let
into
it,
a world
let it
that-
just
yeah.
swell, like a
Yeah.
mystical place. And I'm like, oh, because your brain creates characters. You already when you read a book and you're like, damn, you know, that's how creative you are.
Yeah.
You have a whole movie when you're reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually sometimes I get sad when I read a book and then I watch a movie for it. I'm like, my movie was more interesting than yours, you know, because like you created
Yeah, the one that
something.
you had in your mind. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right. So you are
So-
studying.
So I did the Banker's Code in the US, and that's when I came and found out that the real estate is a different. So it's like seeing the same coin but looking at different places, you know. So I'm like, I don't have to deal with tenants. Ati choy meharibika. Ati well they did not pay the rent. They were late. I'm not there with the managers. Property managers. I don't know what. So I'm like, there's this other aspect now, the banking. So that's the banking aspect I wanted to bring in, and then I got in, and that's why I found out about the loan to value, the arbitrages, all that thing. I'm like, damn, all I need is someone just to sign on a dotted paper,
Yeah.
and that's it. I'm like, yeah, that's it. And you own the piece of real estate, and they do whatever. I'm like, yeah. So I really got interested. So when I was coming back, I had invested in Kenya.
No, wait.
Wow.
So no, no. I'm at. You are in Phoenix.
Yeah, that's why I
You
was in
are
Phoenix,
running
yeah.
a business. You have decided to get into real estate.
Yes.
So you decided that you wanted to transfer to do real estate in Kenya, not in the US.
And actually, it was there, like in Kenya, but also like at that time, I was talking of how to do things back here.
Okay.
Yes, I was.
So you were gonna
building.
okay.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Okay. Were you gonna come with the health coaching
I
business
came
in
with
Kenya?
it.
Oh,
I came with it. Yeah, taxes has to be paid to the state of Arizona.
wait. Let me ask. So you arrived in Kenya.
Yes.
What happened? What really, really
Well,
happened?
So you have a home.
yeah.
You have land. There are things you're doing in Kenya.
You know, like,
so
those are the things
You're
diaspora
thinking
people
of a
do.
project that
Yeah.
you probably thinking should have been almost done.
yeah.
Yes.
Maybe
yes,
they
yes.
sent you photos of it
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
okay, yeah. there's-
How are
there's-
they looking? Was it lush?
when you came. Yeah.
Oh,
and beautiful?
wow. I know. For me, by the way, I love Lush. I won't lie. I love big things. I'm the one who wants V12s instead of V4s, you know, or V6s. I love Lush, no lie. So we were preparing to get back here, and so we were sending money for this 2-bedroom to be built. We bought land, and then we wanted to do like a kiddie academy. It's an American setting, like almost of an international school, but less than like in a Braben and international
Yeah, in
school.
terms
you know,
of
like
cost,
those
yeah.
on course. We wanted like the normal common Mwananchi to experience that
Yeah.
high-end schooling,
Yeah.
like awesome.
Yeah.
But just adding a little bit and also
Uh-huh.
being below the extras. Okay, well,
Okay.
I'm not saying that they pay. It's that quality. I won't say that
Exorbitant,
and
yeah.
whatever. But we just wanted this beautiful thing to be accessed to. It's like almost like a mall. If you guys were here, like Kitambo, Village Market never used to be accessed by people who don't have money. Did you guys know it was like a mall?
No, we did
Yeah.
not live. We did not
Okay.
live in this environment. yeah.
So Village Market, you had to be, you had to
Yeah,
look
moneyed.
money to
Yeah.
get in, type of a thing. But now look at malls; anybody can get in,
Anyone.
but
yeah.
and have that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I'm in Garden City and I'm actually
Yeah.
like sitting. You're like, wow.
Yeah.
But before you're like, man, unaka pesa mahaukai pesa. You know, there used to be that class, but now it's like bringing 2 rivers and from Kajiado can access it. You know, like something happens
Yeah.
to the brain of a child when they're
When
exposed
they
to good
see.
Yeah.
environment. So
So that's what you wanted to
I
create
wanted to come
for
here,
children
and
in
so
Kenya.
my mom we had gotten like a 30-acre parcel.
And
So
we
you
were to come and
arrived.
build the school.
now,
Yeah.
I want us to hear that story
Okay.
just
Yeah.
shortly.
Shortly.
Because I believe that story is very interesting and very intriguing to actually understand what happened. What did she find when she came back to Kenya?
Yeah.
So I'll allow you that you would take a break with us. Then when you come back, let's hear that powerful story of
Definitely.
her story back in Kenya.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, Father Lord, such an amazing love you love us with. Oh, it's an amazing love, unending grace. You gave your son Jesus, so that whoever believes It's an amazing love. Our Father, Lord, He sent His Son, Jesus, to the earth, so that whoever believes in Him, will not perish, but have everlasting life. Said only one truth. There is only one way and one spirit, only one sacrifice, and Jesus is the truth. Say Jesus is the way. He is the sacrifice given once for us. An amazing love. Our Father gave His Son, Jesus, to the earth, so that whoever believes in Him doesn't have to perish, but has everlasting life. It's an amazing love that our Father sent His Son to the earth to die for us, so that whoever believes in Him will not perish, but have everlasting. You can have everlasting life.
Welcome back to Midweek Vibes. We are so happy, so happy to see you all. So Maggie earlier was sharing her story of how she transitioned from US to Kenya. And she had planned together with her family to start a business, a project, even her own house. So Maggie, really what happened?
What did you find?
Yeah, what did you find?
Yeah, there's a lot. Before I came, apart from getting ready with the banker's code, I was working on a formula called Fibonacci, but now putting in financially. So I was loaded.
No,
Loaded, like mentally.
The same Fibonacci that we knew from
Yeah.
primary school.
Yes, that's the one. But now put it.
So are you saying our education is not?
No,
it's not
good.
wasted.
It's not wasted.
So what were you doing with it? What were you doing with that formula?
I was working on a formula on how to passively bring things. Like I was giving myself 24 months. Like let's take transport business, right? I wanted to see how this one matatu will zaa another matatu, and how many matatus will be born in 24 months, and what I have to do to make sure that that happens. So I did that, and all I did, like, if you know how much it is on average, you take the lower one to play with the numbers on the safety net. So how much you can bring in a day, all things held constant. Of course, there's the normal things. And also I factored in days every month for servicing the car to make sure that I don't have the breakdown and everything. I mean, all of that, the insurance, kila kitu. So what happens is, like, you get this car and you just get out 20% of what it does. So of course, my 10% goes to God, definitely. That's where I come from. That's my source. That's my source of everything. So I know the power of tithing because my dad is a reverend. I've been taught into that. I know how important it is to give. There's a whole thing about tithing. It's just insurance for your finances, I would call it, for those people who don't know what tithing is. And then now the 10% for you, for staying. So 80% is going back to the business. And you're not just holding it like in the bank, stashing it for it to depreciate. You actually put it in the money market for it to grow. And then I'm like, in 6 months, you can be able to buy another car. So I have even the time you're supposed to be negotiating for another car, all the licensing. There's this board thing you have to do for matatus and everything. Get a driver, get a conductor, put it on a line. You pay that for that circle, kila kitu. So in 6 months now you have 2. So these are 2 babies. Yeah, so you can do like the 20% on this other one or not. So you can decide to do only on the 20% on this one. So this one is the whole money. So when you collect that money with Fibonacci, if you know how the Fibonacci sequence goes, it's like now in 3 months, you have baby number 3, you know? And then now these 3 matatus, they go on. So by 24, I think you are at 54 buses.
Wow.
And then let's just say each is
It's a
giving
good
you,
number.
I
Yeah.
know, if each is giving you 10,000 a day, now
Yeah.
you do. And then I'm just playing it for 20 days in a month, just in case like this downtime, everything, blah, blah, blah. So you can calculate that. And then now I'm like, you're set now for life. Now you can go like, if you wanted to spend 80% and live. So before that, I'm bringing in the discipline, like, can you live in that 10%? You get it? As you're building an empire, because
Yeah.
you're building an empire. So I was working on that formula, and it's really beautiful.
So was this also another thing you wanted to do when
That's
you
what I
came
was
to Kenya?
doing. That's what I was
So
coming,
the,
actually.
the kindergarten
That was the kindergarten,
and
then
the
there's
transport business.
Yes,
Yeah.
there was that.
from your own home, because you are also building your home.
Yes.
Yes, and
So
also
you-
my home, it was getting built. We were sending money. That time, the Swift code
Yeah.
was expensive, so we decided to send money to someone on Western Union to
Yeah.
put the money in our bank account. We opened, I think, Equity, because they have like a diaspora account you can open when you're overseas, and it's connected to your Kenya. So we were prepared, all of this thing.
Yeah.
We had this, we had this land.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, oh yeah, the house is ready. It has a microwave and a blender to make your transition easy.
Uh-huh.
I come to Kenya. There's no house.
Wow.
It's just a foundation.
Is there
There's
land
no
at
house.
least?
There's no house. So I'm putting this one bedroom with my babies. There's this little one who was breastfeeding. The other one is just 4 years. So one bed, 3 of us. So I'm at the end so that they don't roll. I'm their bed. I'm the border, right? So I'm there. No house. Land is not in my name.
Oh no.
The 30 acres, oh, that's government land. It's not for sale. Hi. And you're paid, and I'm coming to it for the paperwork and everything.
Yeah.
And like all those things when you're physically, you can go pick them
Is
up.
that title deed?
Yeah, that's what I was working on. Like I came to get
Yeah.
those things out, and I
Wait, so you found nothing?
nothing.
Not one thing.
Nothing. So the money that I came with, that's it. I mean, like the money that I came with that time. So the money I've been sending was
Is
not.
not-
So and there's the other money that I was actually investing in another place, and I called the person. I'm like, yo, how is the money growing? It's like, I didn't invest it. And like, what did you do with it? I just did. I bought shopping for my house.
Wow.
So the
What? Oh my.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
I mean, like, I
That
know,
was
like, it was
hard.
crazy. It was crazy. So I'm used to buying Pampers and Huggies, like in packets. And here, my son, of course, he doesn't have a diaper. There's this time I remember he didn't have a diaper. And so, like, at night, he did number two. Number two is poop. And I'm like, oh, God, Jesus, this is not real. This is not happening. So that's when I came to know that a diaper costs, one diaper costs 15. So during the day, I'm like, you can pee a poop anyhow. At night, I can
So
get you one diaper.
You buy one piece of diaper.
Yeah, one piece of diaper. Like it was so bad. So I take my kids and we go to the Supreme Bank in Equity, and I'm like, see, we have money in there.
Yeah,
And I'm
you're-
hopeful.
Yeah.
I want to go just get some basics.
Yeah.
And I go, and it took like 2 hours because I had forgotten the signature.
Yeah.
Because in the US, you can sign anyway. You can sign a dot, you can write your M, you can write your initials. It doesn't matter so long you've signed against your name. But in Kenya, the signature you open, do it there. That's
to
what
be
you
the
have to remember.
same.
And I done a complicated one. So the bank person was so kind to me. I can initial screen. They're like, this is how it is. I'm like, oh. And then I did it because I remembered how I did it. I did it and I was able. So like, honey, after I did all those signatures, and they had already seen my bank account, you have 0 shillings in your bank
Oh
account.
no.
And I'm like, okay. So the money we went sent through Western Union to go to a bank never got there. Ever.
Wow.
Ever. 0 shillings.
So you have been swindled out of everything. And this
I-
feels like an overnight thing because you come from the
Yeah.
US and you know you are rich, you have a
I,
business. you
at
have-
least I have
you
I have a cushion. I have a
a
landing
cushion,
place.
There's somewhere you're starting
Yeah,
from.
I
and
know
you
where I'm
arrive
starting.
and you
Going
have
to a
nothing.
home.
No, there's no home. It's one bed. 3 of us in it.
Tell us,
Land.
what-
Oh, no.
What were you like in that period? What did you feel? What was that space like? Maybe the first week or two before you.
First week, jet lagged and distorted.
Yeah.
Because actually nobody came to pick me up at the airport. I think they were so afraid to tell me the truth. Nobody came. We had to use a taxi. Nobody came to pick me up. I think because they knew how detrimental it could be
Yeah.
for me to know the truth. So I was just like, oh, I love my people, they're my people. I love them. So I had this euphoria, like, like the way you just like, you're in love with someone, you just don't see things. So I wasn't seeing things at that time. I was just so euphoric. And then I remember this time when I actually, anger had built up. And I'm like, that's it. Like, that's it. Like, I got mad. And I did things, like how someone would go drink and cool down. Like, so I was like, I engage into like things that are weird, like just to make my brain think straight. I wasn't myself. I wasn't myself. Like, I'm like, okay, how do we handle this? I have kids, I have boys, nothing. Zero. I can't go back. Like, and I've done, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on? And
Yeah.
I thought
Still
this was
trying
my
to wrap your
man.
mind around
Yes,
what
so
had happened to you.
there's so much. There was a breakdown. I remember I had a breakdown actually, and actually I became sick. There's a time I went to Nairobi West in Kitengela, and they had to use an ambulance to take me to Nairobi Hospital.
Wow.
They come in, and I had to use oxygen, only to be told all that fiasco was panic attack. I'm
Yeah.
like, damn.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
So so I went through the whole swindle. Like, my body was not okay. So I had to create, and then, remember when I told you when I was in high school, I created a story so you can create anything. I'm like, I can
For
create.
yourself.
Yes. So I'm like, I need to create.
Yeah, because I'm curious, because you're clearly not there now.
no.
You're here now.
Yes, I am.
So how did you get out of that space?
Anguish.
Yeah.
I went a bit. There's so much power in our mind. So much. We are so grand. We are spiritual beings. This is just a little taste. It's a nice bag. What actually happens is they're the big 99% of the iceberg that you can see. That's where you create everything. So I just had to sit down again, a meeting with myself, create a story. I'm like, this is, like I just create this. And that's why I came with this notion of like going to the moon. I call it going to the moon. It's like, I just go. There's actually two things I came up with: going to the moon and the 15 minutes sections. So going to the moon is like, if I'm up there, like if you fly, you see the world. This building that looks so grand right now, it looks like a tiny thing. So
Yeah.
you go up there, you look down, you're like, oh, it's so much peaceful. It's just a tiny thing. And then you come down and you're like, I saw you were tiny, you're not that big. And then now you kind of settle it that way.
Yeah,
Then also, I did not block the feeling because there's this feeling. So I put the 15 minutes. I'll put in a timer, 15 minutes, lock myself somewhere, be it toilet, be anywhere, and cry the hell out. Like, feel the pain, feel, connect with that emotion. And when I finish connecting with it, the timer is out, I wipe my tears and I walk out. I'm like, okay, fine. You have felt it. Like how people just fall down. They're like, I fell. That business failed. And it did not. And they're still there. 1 year later, I'm like, hey, utokianguka kwa barabara. Sina mukanga jamani. You just stand up. I
Pick
mean, why
yourself,
do you go pity papping? So I decided to do that. And I put up this because this is what I wanted. And then also, like, I think God, because God tells you so many beautiful things in the Bible. And you're like, okay, fine. I cannot sit here and wallow. I mean, who is my God? So I think those things really help me just get better. Yeah.
So what did you do so now you have told yourself you have to create a new story, you have to go somewhere, you have little ones here with you.
Yes.
What was the first step you took?
First step I took was I got a connection. My mom's friend, she actually lives in the same state, but she comes here, So she connected me to KWFT. And I became a banker there. And I went with my banker skills. And I was given this big portfolio of defaulters.
Wow.
And now my marketing, my people skills, my banker's code, the real estate. I mean, all that information.
Look at
For
that.
me,
Nothing
when I was
was
reporting
wasted,
to
yeah.
work, when I was reporting to work, I wasn't like going there as like a bank. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I've been employed waiting for my pesa at
pay,
the end.
yeah.
No, it was like, let me study. Studying time. So I was given exactly what I wanted. The thing that I studied for, that's what I saw it being executed behind the scene. You just see the bank. So my portfolio was really bad. It had really hardcore defaulters. And then I went to each and every one of them. We made friends. We drank tea. I checked on them. I'm like, how come? So I created that relationship. So what happened? How is your business? Tell me more.
Interpersonal
Yeah.
And they're
skills.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, tell me more. Oh, okay, I know. Businesses go up and down. If it goes straight, that is an abnormal business.
Yeah.
So you're doing the right business. If it goes up and down,
Yeah.
is your accounting okay?
Yeah.
What has been an issue? If I know a customer somewhere in my network, I'll send them to my clients, my clients of the portfolio, and they will get something. And then from there, defaulters started paying. So all of that I was studying. As a banker, like if you have a banker, you're letting out money. You'll find there are defaulters. And so I found so many different ways. And that's where I learned how to handle defaulters. That's where I also learned the different types of loans. And I fell in love with the salary loans because there's zero risk to you. Because, someone goes, before they get their paycheck, your little money
cut
percent
is-
is done, and then they're done. Nobody gets to talk to
Yeah.
anybody apart from like,
Yeah.
hi, I love you too. God bless you, be blessed. Mwah, like
No.
something like the sort.
Yeah,
Like
but
your
you're
clients,
shielded.
like,
Yes.
because some people, I saw some defaulters, they'll see bankers and start freezing. Like,
Yeah,
imagine
no.
a jar.
Yes.
You're like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah.
But me, they're coming there like, my students signed up for music classes. They will come and tell me their whole life. His birthday, you're invited for the birthday. So like there's this different relationship I formed
I
with
think
the clients.
you're saying about the relationship you had with the defaulters. There's something we are used to that if you default,
Oh yeah, I'm taking your meza.
or I'll come to your employer's office.
Yeah.
But I mean, what was
Or
your motivation?
I will call the people who guaranteed
Guaranteed
you
Exactly.
and
or
harass
put
them.
your information on Facebook and wherever,
exactly.
just to
That
for
is
everyone
so
to know you
sad.
defaulted.
Yeah, that is so sad.
So
For
what was
me,
your
I
motivation?
protected.
Yeah.
For me, I wanted to know because for me, I was there. Remember,
Yeah.
I'm learning, I'm studying, so I
Yeah.
want to know what goes behind the scene. Why
Yeah.
would someone come and default?
Yeah.
And they were really good, and they qualified for this amount. There's
Mm.
something. There's a story behind everything. So for me, I wanted to go behind the scene
Yeah.
and get to know the point. So I'm like, if I can help you solve this, you can be able to pay. And sometimes I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, hata kama amenirushia 2K, I'm like, fine. Amenirushia 10K, fine.
Yeah.
50K.
Better than
Yeah.
I'm like, there's something. So I'm like, okay, fine. So when I call them, they don't go freaking. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, Maggie, hi.
Hi, yeah.
They even receive your
Yes,
calls.
yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
they're so like, oh yeah, sure. Oh man, I forgot. Don't worry, I'm doing that right now.
Yeah.
And they, you
Okay.
go, you see, they reflect the account, you check the account. They're like, they actually did it.
So were you doing this for KWFT or for yourself?
This was KWFT. I was learning, and I was putting in the banker's code information because the arbitrage. I'm like, we need to know the value. So I learned how to do business assessment. I learned everything. So, and then that's how I ended up opening my lending business.
Is there anything else you picked up? I mean, you have done KWFT as a banker, and then said your lending business.
Yes.
Is there anything else? Because I'm imagining how great your mind is. How
thank
I mean,
you.
you have such a great attitude that even when you fail, you are able to pick yourself up. So, is there any other
And
idea
that's the
that you
doing of
had?
the earth. She looks at
Exactly.
the world and she feels, I can take it.
I can conquer
I
it.
can take it.
I can
Yeah.
conquer it. I think I think it's support. Like if you have a positive environment and love, especially pure love, and that one I've gotten from my parents and my family. We only 2 kids, my brother and I, and my mom and dad. So, so what else did I do? Yeah, after I did this lending business, I started finding it needs me more, And so I resigned from the banking so that I can carry out my lending business. And that's when, like, I've been having a passion for farming since I was a little girl. So I came up with this guy. He's called Zach. And he had a product from the US, a solar product. And he's like, Maggie, whatever you're doing in my business, you can do something. And so I find myself in Narok, Nauko, Ololunga, Oko, next to the forest. And I'm like, these people, they're in Kenya. They're beautiful souls,
Yeah.
but they don't have electricity. They don't even know how electricity looks like. They use the bark of trees as torches at night. So you have to be kimbizana na jua. Like you just chasing the sun to make sure you get there. So I go and I'm like, damn, that's a nice idea. CBO banking. Then they mentioned about the GIZ, like this Germany initiative. They can come and they're like, oh, you're helping people so they can come and like do a subsidiary of the same. So if I'm giving people 5% on interest, they can say, oh, do it at 2%, but we'll fill in the 3% for you. It will still be 5%,
Right.
you know.
So
So
you and Zach get into this.
so we get together and they are like, we want you to be in the director's board, but we can't afford you. So
This is from GIZ.
no, this is Zach.
Okay,
This is
okay,
Zach. This is Zach, the guy with the product.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes in like, but I have another way. Maybe we can help because you're a farmer. You've gone through the pain. I was doing onions like 6 acres, and I went through. I got burned. Like this time, I just did it, and I paid everybody. Paid seed, got everything. They bought it really bad. It's 7 shillings a kg instead of 50 shillings a kg. You know what I mean? And iko
is so
pale imesha
low.
harvestiwa. It's on the farm, and it's gonna get burned. And you're like, okay, fine. I don't want it to get to loss. And then at the end of the day, after all the money is given, you're left with 150 shillings. After everything, you know, like to run an acre of onions is like 100K.
Yeah.
And then you hold it 150,
At the end of
$1.50.
everything, yeah.
After all
After
that
the
work,
100K.
yes. And so I'm like, that money was to just take me to the gate to my house. That's it. I'm like, that's the
Gosh.
fare back. I'm like, okay.
My God, that's unfair.
Fine. So I felt sad, of course. But I was like, I won't give up because I know this thing works. So that's why I came to know the power of getting to partner with people who are in the business. So I partnered with this guy.
And
20
networking,
yeah,
Mm.
23 acres combined with mine. We had now 29 acres, 30 acres. And then we're doing everything together. And boom, money. You know, the onion got a market. It was going to Somalia. So there's these 40-foot containers that were coming to the farm and just we
Wow.
load. So there's this type of jamba. It's the big one. Like the restaurants, like one can do like the onion rings. It's the big one, not the tiny. The tiny one is the red pinot. The one
What's
people are
jamba?
used. Is a species of the onion.
Oh, okay.
So it's the big one. It's the big one. And then there's the normal ones we get on the
Small
market
size.
for 5 shillings and 10 shillings. That's the red pinot. So before I was doing the red pinot, then he's like, no, the jamba is one and you can do a lot of kilos that way. You know, like you learn this little stuff. So that's how like I've been in passion with the farming. So Jazak was like, let's do this thing. Let's get farmers in the country signed up so that we can connect it to the market directly and avoid the brokers. But even if the brokers are there, they don't get to earn more because like they come one day, they earn millions,
Yeah,
and
and you
you
are
there,
the
you
one
have
putting the work.
your change mashilingis, you know,
Yeah.
like you're just like, okay, what's going on? So we partnered with Zach, and he's like, okay, fine. First of all, let's do hydroponics because it's really amazing. We can use arid and wastelands into food production hubs.
Would you
What's
mind
hydro-
just
yeah.
explaining what hydroponics is?
Hydroponics is where you plant without soil.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember in science when we what is needed for plantation, light, air,
Water.
and water. Was there any soil? No. So that's hydroponics. You use like the pumice rock, and it's a greenhouse setting. So this is just science, and I love science. So this is just science. You just have to know the pH of the tomato. It needs this. You know how much parts per 1,000 liters. So you know 1 liter of the nitrogen or something, magnesium. You just check all of that. The trellising. There's a way you treat a plant, and it will give you what. If you treat a plant correctly, it will give you that.
Everything. Yeah.
It will give you
It'll give
everything.
it back
So
to
I'm
yourself.
like, I did that.
Yeah.
I did hydroponics. So did that farming and everything. And that's how I came to. You asking me what else was I doing?
Yes.
So that's how I ended up in hydroponics and
So at
farming.
this point, your lending business is still going on.
It's still there.
It's still there, and now
Yes.
you're in hydroponics.
I'm in hydroponics now.
We know you as a musician,
Yes.
yes.
As a song artist.
as a
Yes.
song artist. You
As a
write
voice,
songs and
yes.
you sing them.
Yes, I do.
And this is something else that you're doing.
There's something else that I do.
Tell us about that.
That one I started when I was a little girl. I don't know which musician you can interview and they don't mention I started in church choir.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So for me, my dad being a reverend, we were always at the top. I mean, at the stage. This stage, I'm used to it. Telling people, my dad made us do memory verse, drama, singing in front of people. My brother and I could not escape that. So my brother and I, what happened? We got those people skill and how to hold a crowd. So we don't have that stage fright. And that's actually, if I can tell parents, the best skill they can give is that public speaking skill to their kids. A kid can be anywhere, even in Pakistan, in relationship. Ndege iharibike Pakistan. It's a hostile place. But that kid will be able to go get a house, sleep over, and be
And eat.
entertained and
And
eat,
survive.
be given clothes to change till their plane is fixed. And then now, because
Yeah.
that is really,
Yeah.
really important. Yes. So my singing started there. When I go to Shags, my grandparents, my uncles, they're like, sing for us, dance for us. You know, like like they used to like yo, you cook bamboo, yo, you know, like those also like you would do something, and so they would dance and they would be entertained. And we're doing this in the kitchen with the firewood, the firewood in the kitchen, and we'll dance, and then everybody would go back and sleep, and we'd be like, wow, you dance really well. So kumbe it was in us, it was getting nurtured, and I've always like everything. To me, whatever I've ever gone through in life, it was always melodically interpreted. So I have that musical interpretation of things. So there's a way God, I'll go through crazy, but God, I was just sing a song, and I'll be like, nah, I'm not worthy of being an artist because of the things that I was going through, you know. But coming looking back, I'm like, this was God just encouraging me, just being there by my side musically. And actually, there's that Bible verse where you just go, I go sit at the feet of God, and He sings for me. He just sings a song for me, and I'm like,
I like how
this is nice.
I know.
This is
I'm
nice.
I'm just trying to imagine if you're a song artist, how many songs? How many songs have you written?
I have written, I think, more than 200 songs, and they
Wow.
download. Like, I'll be doing anything. Like, there's this. The most weird thing is, I was listening to a song that I had done production for. So, you know, like the producer gives you a song, so that as they're mastering it, you can fix something. If you don't want something, you need to adjust something. So I was listening to the, and then another song comes in directly, and I'm listening, and another one just comes in, and I'm like, form, pause, let me now record this new song.
Yeah, so that you
You
don't
know,
lose it. Yeah.
Yeah, don't lose it. How many songs have I sung in my dream? Then I wake up, I'm like, ilikuwa inaendaje?
Oh.
You know, like, and you're performing, you know, like, so I also
gosh.
dream musically.
Yeah.
Like, there's a way I dream musically. So, and I know I'm going to do singing till my last breath. That one I know for sure. So this one for me, I'm here to stay. Yeah.
Well, so at some point then you're doing your lending business, you're in hydroponics,
Yes.
and then you one day decide,
Yeah.
I am going to be an artist.
Yes.
And you take off.
Yes, that's what I did. It was on my birthday. So I went, I'm like, well, how do you want to spend my day? I want to go and stay in the studio. So that's when I went and did the I Don't Care song. That one is actually about actually respecting your children. I mean, your parents. It's Ephesians chapter 6. That Bible verse that you have to honor your parents, respect them. And also parents need to be good and kind to their children. So I put it in a very contemporary way. Anybody can hear it. But even Islam or someone who doesn't even know God, and they hear that song, they will
It
sing
would
to
make
it.
sense.
And then when they come back, they're like, so God said this. You know? So they're like, yeah, sure. So I do things in a contemporary type of way. Yes. Yes.
In an earlier conversation, I'm imagining as a song artist, you shoot videos.
Yes.
And you have some
Yeah.
good dresses
Yes,
to
absolutely.
wear. And you said
Yeah.
something very beautiful about some of the, gowns that you have worn in the
Yes.
in the singing, the videos.
First
Yeah.
you said that there's a struggle amongst artists.
Yes, there is a struggle.
Like you cannot post a dress twice. You wear once and
right
that's
now-
enough.
Yeah, but actually, even for other civilians, common civilians who want to be influencers, you cannot be seen wearing the same dress so many times, you know. So, so my music career started last year in January 17, 2020, and before the COVID. I had so many things planned out. But when you shoot a video, there's like, you have to change. Have you seen? So for me, I watch music videos in a different light. You're like, oh, that's dress number 1, dress number 2. I'm like, they did 5 dresses. That's like maybe 15K, like for me, I see things differently.
Yeah.
But music is a very expensive career. Like, actually what they said, you need $150,000 to start your business career if you're serious. And that's 15 million.
That's a
you know,
lot.
if you want to,
start.
like, to
Imagine.
start. So there's a lot. And I tell you, there's sometimes I've slept without eating so that I can pay for a videographer or something. You know,
Wow.
so, and I accumulated this gowns.
Quite discipline, you know. Have
Yeah.
you seen this meme that says, if the money that I have cannot pay for the needs that I have, then I
Let
will
me
eat
eat
that
it.
money.
Yes,
You don't
I
eat
tell
that
you.
money.
Yeah, I
You
would
know.
actually eat, maybe, I know.
You would eat. But now we're learning from Maggie here, who says she
know,
wouldn't
don't.
eat so that she can pay for.
I know for the services,
videography.
there's so many. Actually, even this year, I shot, I think, 3 videos, but they're not up in the public yet. They did not meet my standard. And
What?
also in Maringo, but they're not my standard. They're not my brand standard.
Yeah.
So I cannot share. But you see, in that, I accumulated counts. So one day, I'm seated in the living room, and then I go and check out this dress. It's there. It's 15,000 worth. And I'm staring at it, and I'm like, I can't even convert it to food. then an idea came. I'm like, wow, I have all these dresses. Everybody's saying they're amazing. And nowadays, if you study the economy right now, people are buying experiences. They're not actually
That's
want to
right.
own things.
You
They
don't want to
wanna
own it,
things.
you
No.
want- but you want to
You
experience
Yeah,
it.
so
Yeah.
someone would go and hire a car so they can go to Shags and like, oh, sell this. I took this. Or Airbnb. or
Especially during this season.
Yeah.
this season,
Yeah.
people will hire cars to go to Shags to do screensy so that they can have that branded, I own a car.
Yes.
Eh?
That's right.
Yeah, you see
So
what I
you
mean?
want to go to
So
an Airbnb with a pool and and experience
Yes.
it and then go back to
Then
go
your
go
back
house.
to
your
normal.
house,
And
yes.
people are okay. According to the economic, it's not the same as our parents. You know, our parents had a
mm.
different economic structure than we do.
Yeah.
So now it is about that experience. And that's why Bonfire Ventures, that is just that experience for that amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
So I found out that also ladies don't want to experience that. So they have birthday parties. They will always have. They want to go to the wedding looking fabulous. They want to do the red carpet looking amazing. The photo shoot. You know nowadays it's about the photo
Yeah.
shoot.
Yeah.
Oh, the photo shoot. So that's pretty much like how I came up with that idea. I'm like, okay, I have all of this. I can list them out. And instead of like someone paying like the 15,000 to own it, and they're gonna just wear it once, just lease, do your thing one day, bring it back. I get laundered and then goes to the next person. It's like real estate in material.
I'm so sorry.
Look at that brain. Yeah.
I
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Yes.
So now, you guys can see why we were saying we have a powerhouse in the house today. You have seen the story of someone who has leveraged everything that God gave them, everything that they worked for to bring themselves to this point that they are at now. So let me ask you, Maggie, what are like maybe 2 lessons that you could share, 2-3 lessons that you could share with our viewers today about, from your that you have gotten from your own life?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, people. Let me tell you guys. We planned for beautiful. You see, I had planned for a beautiful business. It was foolproof, but you came and found it was totally not it. That's not the end of the day. That's not the end of life. That's not an opportunity to get depressed. I know your brain can be able to feel down, and it's okay. It's okay. But I would like people to create a different perspective when it comes to such situations. Look at it in a different angle. There's so many ways. Maybe how you viewed it is in a one dimension. What if you come and get it at 3D, or have someone else who has gone through the same situation and conquered? They can help you see it in a different way. So I would like anybody who is in a bad situation, that's not the end. That is actually the best place for innovation. That's when you look around and God blesses you with something that you have.
Yeah.
People try to wait for capital. I don't have capital to start my dream. So they sit down. I'm like, let me first of all accumulate. No, it's like what do you have? Do you have 5 shillings? Actually, 500 shillings, 1,000 shillings. You can start something. You don't have to wait for that 100K, a million, whatever it is. Is that? It's what you have. God asked Moses, what do you have in your hands? He said, a staff. And what did he do? Miracles. Separated the sea, brought water for Israelites, did so much. The health also, like the snake, the healing aspect. So I'm just saying, you have something in you. You need to look in. Don't look out. Don't look out to what you can get out there. Go sit, have a meeting with yourself. Look what is inside. And now use that to shine. Use that to progress. Use that to build yourself up. Use that to create something. And when you do that, you tend to have a different caring and loving towards your business, because you know where it has come from. It has come from you. It's your own fiber. It's your own blood and vein. So it's different. So when you have customers, you don't treat them like you owe me. You'll be like, thank you. You're here and I'm here to serve you. Let me know how I can best serve you. And that you go on. Because with that, you get referrals. And that's how you become like your own brand. You're a billboard. You can now just go on and shine.
I'm just looking the way we began the show, the way you were telling us your story and how you were brought up with your mom and dad, and they made sure they empowered you with knowledge. They empowered you with initiative. So what would you tell, or what would you charge a parent or even an emerging adult who is possibly at home and is saying, me, I'm waiting to get the money, or I'm waiting to get help from someone or from
I'm
a
waiting
friend.
to get a white collar job. I have studied. I have a degree.
exactly.
And, I'm applying for jobs. I'm waiting for a job.
Wow, yes. We all have a contribution to the community and to everybody. And I'm a parent. So I know the value of inspiring. You know, kids, children, no matter their age, will always, even when I'm 17, my dad was like, he'll still call me to check whether I've put on a sweater if it's cold. You know, and my mom will like, you still sit on me. Eh?
like
You're
it,
never
yeah.
out. You know, like,
Yeah.
so parents with children, we want the best for them. So I would request, humbly request parents to be involved with their children. There's some beautiful chemistry that happens when you get to know a child and also expose them. Because when they're young, they really don't know what they want. Throw them to so many things, so many things, and just be an inspiration for them. I think what my parents did was push me really hard. Okay, in a good way. It's like, don't just think that box.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
box. Let's remove the concept of boxes. There is no box. We are unlimited.
Yeah.
So can your child know that? And can they expose that? Can they
Yeah.
make sure that they see things
Yeah.
in a different light? So parents, please just hold that child. They need guidance. And then the child, and I mean, when I say a child, I don't mean like a toddler or something. Okay, it can be any age,
Yeah.
your parent's child.
Yeah.
There is so much, like, let me just mention this. Chinese people look at Africa, they laugh sarcastically. It's sad. Africa is the only continent that's had all resources. We are the most rich continent. But yet, I mean, right now, if Africa decided not to give gold to France, it will not be a third world country. It will be maybe a fifth world country. Less than us, Africa.
Wow.
So they're like, you guys have everything. They look at us, they're like, damn, you're sitting on acres of gold or acres of diamond. Like, there's so many innovative things you can do. Toothpicks, chargers, they're so cheap to make. Less than 100 shillings. But everybody uses a toothpick. You make millions. You can do, I mean, like, guys, you have so much. There's something in you.
Yeah.
Try to do it in a small scale and then build it up.
Yeah.
And then, mind you, when investors come, let me give you guys something. Investors don't give people like people with ideas. Okay, yeah, they kinda, but they want to see something working. They like putting money in something that is already working.
Already
Even
So
if it's small
existing.
scale.
even if it's
They want
small
to see
scale.
it working.
So don't see them like, I have the best idea in the world. No, we need to see what it is. Even for me, before like the gigs that I do, I have to have a portfolio for music. I have to have that portfolio for the gowns. I have to have a greenhouse and someone can come and like, oh, so this is it. So an investor is coming, they're like, they can see what is happening. They just don't come like on an idea only. So guys, put your ideas into work. And then someone who, like, if you need like a huge seed capital, then now you can start talking. You can now start pitching. And you're like, because they always say, okay, what do you have on the table? Like, there was these people that I was getting, there's a big, I wouldn't reveal who they are. They want to do a collabo with me. And they're like, okay, so what is on the table? It's like now they have to go to SoundCloud or Spotify and see what they have on the table so they will see what they're working with. You just don't go, I want to just collabo with you. I want to be the
I'm
best.
a really good singer.
No, it doesn't work that way, guys. But yeah,
Fine. Wow. Thank you, Maggie. It has been a pleasure having you
thank you.
in the house today. You have shared with us gold.
I know.
And I do pray that for every one of you who has been listening to this conversation, that you will see that, you know how the Bible says that God determines the times and places where we will be born, and He gives you the parents He gives you and the school that you go to and the things that, I mean, you can see it from Maggie's life that He set her up in such a way that she, when she started to work at it herself, God had already put her somewhere. And I do believe that is true for every one of us. There's a place, there's nurture that you have, there's nature that you have, your personality, how you speak, the giftings that you have, the way your brain works, how you see life. You see how she says she sees things melodically. Maybe there's a way you see things that people don't see, And so if we put our minds to it, there is gold in us. God has put His image in us, His gifts in us, and we can leverage that to do things for ourselves and to the world that will be to the glory of God and for the good of our own lives. And so I charge you to listen to what Maggie has shared, and I pray that it will cause a great awakening in your life and great fruit out of it. Maggie, thank you so much for being with us today. We will thank you. It was a pleasure hosting with you.
Yes, it was.
We will see you next week. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.